Good afternoon, everybody. We'd like to call the meeting of the Diversity Committee to order, please. My name is Elizabeth Velez, Chair of the Diversity Committee, and at this time I'd like to acknowledge Frankie Miranda, who is virtual, Midori Valdivia, Neil Zuckerman, and Jerry Bringman. Thank you for coming. Tracy, are there any public speakers?
Yes.
Good afternoon. There are two virtual speakers. First, we have Christopher Greith, followed by Charlton D'Souza.
Good afternoon. It's Christopher D. Greif. As I said before, I will cause grief, but as a joke. Anyway, as a advocate, and I want to say on the diversity, I want to thank the MTA. Even with COVID or no COVID, the accessibility has been working even better than it was years past. You know, when we had certain things that had to be done, it's getting done little by little. So it's not just one division, it's everything. So I want to thank on the diversity part, thank to the MTA because accessibility has been getting done, not fast, but it will get done on this time in need, especially during with COVID, hurricanes, storms, anything goes wrong, at least, accessibility is getting the necessary help. But as I said before, and I will say this anytime, if we see something, we're supposed to say something to any of the fellow MTA. If we see NYPD, we must let them know as well. So I want to thank the MTA, and I hope in the future we do celebrate a great ADA 33, which is coming up this summer. Thank you so much. And please know it's GREIF. I am Greif, not grief. Thank you.
Our next and final speaker is Charlton D'Souza.
Good afternoon. My name is Charlton D'Souza, president of Passengers United, and I want to talk about diversity. We as advocates at Passengers United are all volunteers, and we help passengers every day in the MTA region. And why is it that a certain individual at the MTA has ordered all agencies and ordered all people not to communicate with us? And quote unquote, because we communicate with the press. Let me make something clear. We have never compromised any information that we've received at any of the meetings and given it to the press or anything like that. This is about issues like the bus redesigns, and this is issues about subway crime, which the MTA refuses to talk about. And at the last board meeting, everyone with disabilities who were affected by the Long Island Railroad, Brooklyn Shuttle, all came first. But what happened? Special interest groups that are affiliated with the MTA and get preferential treatment who haven't been attending MTA board and committee meetings shows up and gets bumped first to speak. So yeah, when y'all want to talk about diversity, fix your own issues in-house, okay? And the board members need to be very sensitive because Passengers United, we serve people of color, we are minority organizers and leaders. And the other organizations are all white, run by mostly affluent white people. So yeah, I am going to speak about this. I am outraged. And that's why on Wednesday, we're having a rally between 8 a.m. and 9 a.m. outside 2 Broadway to express our frustration with this agency. And, I'm not happy. And look at the discrimination with the LIRR. I mean, the people are paying the same fares as Grand Central and Penn Station customers, yet they have a 45-minute trip from Rosedale to Atlantic Terminal. How is that acceptable, guys? Fix your own house.
Thank you to the public speakers. Next, we have approval of the September 19th, 2022 and the December 19th, 2022 Diversity Committee meeting minutes. They are in our board book. May I have a motion for approval?
So moved.
Thank you, Midori. Second by Neil, N-E-A-L. All in favor? Any opposed? Minutes are approved. Are there any updates, Tracy, to the 2023 work plan?
Yes. A request for resolution of the Title VI program will be presented today by Dr. Green. And we've also added the following items for the June meeting. Updates of the EEO program, which is due every 4 years. DBE program and DBE goal, that's annually. We've also moved the annual 2023 policy statements from today's meeting to the June diversity meeting. That includes EEO, ADA, sexual and other discriminatory harassment, and Title VI. We also moved, there's a lot going on, Chair Velez. We also moved the review of the Diversity Committee Charter to the September meeting. The updated 2023 work plan is on page 10 of the Diversity Committee book for your review. Chair Velez?
Thank you. I'll make a motion to approve the work plan changes. There's a motion on the floor. Midori, and seconded? Second. Neil. Thank you. The work plan is approved. Tracy, can you take us through the executive summary, please?
Excuse me, yes, mic on. This presentation is normally given in February or March for the first Diversity Committee meeting of the new year, but it was moved due to the adequate time to review the Title VI program. The presentation will focus on the accomplishments and challenges of our EEO programs during fiscal year 2022. So some of the highlights we're going to talk about are on the screen for the D and M and SDVO programs, certification activity, small business development program, and EEO and workplace statistics. We'll talk about the departmental milestones for 2023, and then we'll also have a discussion and a presentation from Dr. Green on the Title VI program update. Next slide, please. Next slide. Great. And this is just to show you that the program that we represent here today, we promote equity and opportunity in historically disadvantaged and marginalized communities. You know, with the hopes of them getting contracts and increasing job creation and home ownership, better educational opportunities. That's what we seek to accomplish through these programs. Next slide, please. All right, so these are some of the numbers that we have attained for 2022. And I have to bring to your attention that in some of these programs, when it comes to the state or the federal programs, the years end differently. So, for example, for the state, the year end is March 30th. So when you look at the screen, the numbers did not change from last year's numbers, from the December numbers, because we still have 3 months to go. So we report out on March 30th, which concludes that fiscal year. So we're still getting the numbers together, so we'll go up. For the fiscal year, for the federal program, it's a different year time. So you can't compare apples to apples on the federal and state. Right now on the state goal, we're still at 32%. I'm sure we will do better than that once we have the last 3 months of their fiscal year. And for the DBE goal, we're trending still at the 17%, which is lower than our 20% goal. But overall, we still drive the state for most utilization on MWBE. Next slide. So these are some of the stats from the DBE certification. And just to highlight a couple, applications received from 2021 to 2022 is approximately 4 applications received less. However, for firms certified in 2021 versus 2022, we certified 2 more at 59. I want to bring your attention down to the last line on that. And it talks about the turnaround time it takes for us to certify firms. In 2021, it was approximately 28 days. In 2022, was 43. Why is that, right? And I can say that looking at why that happened, last year we had a total of, I think, about four new staff, which needed to be trained. So we hope for 2023 that will go back down to the average time frame of 28 days. Next slide. This is for the Small Business Development Program. And to date, we have awarded 596 contracts totaling $619 million. For last year's fiscal year, we awarded 73 contracts totaling $63.1 million. We continue to look at the program and certainly capitalize on the great things that it does. Next slide. And now I'm going to have Dr. Green talk about the hiring.
Good afternoon. The complete report on the workforce activities can be found in the Diversity Committee book on page 92 through 105. Now, as of 12/31/22, the MTA workforce was comprised of 71,563 employees, of which 18.5% were female and 72% were minority. Page 96 of the Diversity Committee book gives a complete breakdown by agency of all the demographics of the workforce by agency. During 2022, so as of December 31st, 2022, MTA had hired 6,926 employees. In that number, there were 5,644 minorities and 1,066 females. When we look at our new employees coming in that were female versus the ones, female employees that separated from the agency, we had a net increase of 650 female employees. And as we look at the same statistics for males, we had a net increase of 1,444 male employees. And we have also indicated how that breakdown looks by ethnicity.
Next slide. Great, thank you, Dr. Green. And here are some of our 2023 departmental milestones. It's just fortunate, I gather, that all of these plans were due at the same time. We have 5-year plans, 4-year plans, annual, and in addition to all the work that the staff does, they have to meet these deadlines. So the MTA annual goal management for the MWBE and SDVOB programs, which began for the budget for the next state fiscal year, which began April 1, 2023. Programs and updates and submissions to the federal government, EEO, DBE program, DBE goal, Title VI, they're all due at the same time. Quite busy here. Some of our targeted strategies are to recruit certified firms, and assist the state with certification of MWBE firms qualified to work on the upcoming capital projects in targeted areas that lack MWBE present. Number two, strengthening processes and participation and benefits received from the Small Business Development Program. Next slide. Dr. Green?
So we're going to turn our attention now back to Title VI. The Title VI ensures that organizations receiving federal funding, like the MTA, does not discriminate under any program or activity that it administers. It also ensures that our environmental justice population, which are the low income and minority, and our LEP customers are afforded equitable access to our services and programs. Next slide, please. Now, we gave a full briefing, a pre-briefing on Title VI, so this is an abbreviated briefing on Title VI. Each of our operating agencies have their own Title VI plans, which are administered by the agency EO officers. Those plans are reviewed by DDCR annually to ensure that our compliance obligations have been attended to. Now, every 3 years, we're required to consolidate those plans into one MTA-wide Title VI program, obtain board approval, and submit it to FTA for approval. And that's the point that we are at right now. The plan is required to be submitted by June 1st, 2023. Next slide, please. So we're here at the committee briefing now. We did update the full Title VI program and all related exhibits to the director's desk. So at this time, if there's any questions about the Title VI program or any of those exhibits, we would open the floor up now to any questions that you may have.
Hi, Dr. Green. Thank you for this briefing. So I just wanted to touch base on a presentation that we had in Transit Committee. So Transit Committee, they were talking about improving bus ridership and selecting certain bus routes to focus on improvement. So to what extent does your office or this plan tie in and give support to that work to ensure that from a Title VI perspective, but even beyond that, just from like an equity service perspective, we're focusing on the right bus routes? Does it just happen on their team? Do you get to weigh in? I think I just want to understand the connections.
Yes, so any major service change, whether it's a bus route or a major service change or a fare change, there is a Title VI analysis that must be done. The analysis is completed and it is routed to DDCR for review and approval of those analyses. At the same time that it's routed to legal for Lou Oliva to also review it as well. So we do get a chance to weigh in. Now, recently we have been meeting with the three groups, C&D and operations and DDCR, to kind of talk about how we can strengthen some of those conversations and some of those reviews, and then go out with a coordinated voice on what we think would be most advantageous or the best way or best approach to address some of the changes that we are recommending.
Thank you, Dr. Green. And I just want to clarify. So in the last presentation, it wasn't necessarily, I don't think it would be considered like major service changes. It would be, okay, let's look at the street network, or let's look at these cross intersections to make sure that the buses are moving more quickly. But I guess my question is about the choice of the routes where the bus team is going to make impact. Do you all have maybe this is beyond Title VI, right? So it's not based on the regulatory requirements, but do you all have input on saying, oh yes, these bus routes make sense from a Title VI or from an equity perspective?
That is a collaborated approach. We have quarterly Title VI meetings where everyone across the agency that have any type of inputs into service, it includes government relations, operations, and all of the agencies. We come together and talk quarterly about what is going on and what are the the activities that are taking place at the moment. We did have a conversation about Bronx redesign prior to that going out. Again, it is quarterly. We have been having more frequent conversations.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Green. The board resolution is on page 15 of our board book. We need a motion to recommend the Title VI program to the full board for approval.
So moved.
Thank you. And seconded? Thank you, Midori. All in favor?
Aye.
Perfect. I think we've moved through very quickly. I want to take this opportunity to thank you, Tracy Mitchell. Tracy has stepped into big shoes to come in as the interim MTA Chief Diversity and Inclusion Officer. You said it. You're coming in at a very, very busy time, and we appreciate you for hitting the ground running expeditiously and efficiently to help keep the MTA and this very important program moving forward. So thank you.
Thank you, Chair.
Now we need a motion to adjourn. Oh, absolutely, Midori.
So apologies, Chair, I have one more question. And so maybe this is for next time. So I'm looking through the data. Thank you for the tremendous amount of data you've provided. Something that sticks out to me, and it shouldn't be a surprise to any of you that I'll highlight this again. As you know more, you tell me what the rates of women are in terms of employment at the MTA. At some point it was 19%. This round it looks like it's 18.5%. I see specifically, again, no surprise, Metro North and Long Island Railroad. Those numbers are significantly lower. And that's not like those raw numbers aren't as much of a concern to me. I think what's a concern is it seems like, and correct me if I'm wrong, there are more women leaving those organizations than being hired in those organizations. And so this is more about, maybe next time thinking more about what is that articulated strategy on the retention of women in this workforce. What data are you all hearing about, why women are leaving the workforce? Especially with the COVID-19 pandemic, there's been a national discourse on women, and I just know that, those rates in the transportation industry, it's difficult. It's usually 20% women anyway, right? So it's not just an MTA specific issue. So I would just love to learn more about that next time and kind of what we can do, seeing so much very impressive female leadership here on the committee. So thank you.
So what I would say to that is the next meeting, we will have a briefing on the updated EEO program. In that program, we will have areas of underutilization for each agency. So we will be looking at the female population at that point within the female statistics in each of the agencies and where we can do better. Then we round our numbers up. And I didn't want it to look like we were fudging anything, so I actually put the 18.5, which would round up to 19%. But when we look at the number of females overall, as of December 31st, we have 650 more females than we did before. So we do have more females coming in. One of the other things that I would bring to the committee's attention is that during transformation, there was a lot of movement. And some of that movement was some of the positions that were females in the railroads that moved over to headquarters. So that would have caused a shift of the numbers. We have pretty much settled with all the movement, and so we can get a better picture of what's going on in the workplace. The updated EEO program is a snapshot as of December 31st. So we take a snapshot at that time and we do an analysis of what has happened. This time it'll be an analysis over what has happened over the last year because the FTA has allowed us to not go back for the 3 years because you wouldn't be comparing apples to apples because all of the agencies shifted and changed so much. So it'll be like a new organization, and we'll take a snapshot and see where we are and talk about the areas of underutilization. And the plan also requires us to have strategies to correct any areas of underutilization. So you will get that briefing
Thank
in
you.
June.
Thank you. And I appreciate your perspective on like the overall agency. I guess I was looking at some specific agencies because we still have ways to go. And then I just wanted to highlight, I think I saw the MWBE goal, although our agency goal is 30%, we hit 32.5%. That is extremely impressive. And we should just celebrate that. So really kudos to all of you. Thank you.
Thank you. Now we need a motion to adjourn. Second? All in favor? The meeting is adjourned. Thank you.